Day. Bill and Carmen here at the Joy FM, the morning cruise with Phil Wickham on release day of the brand new project, I believe.
Yeah. And we're going to get to some,
I'm
more.
Celebrating.
Yes, no, this is awesome. We're going to get to some more of the new songs, but because this is the first time that we're sitting down with
Which
you.
is ridiculous.
I know.
Because everybody in the world knows about Carmen, Bill, and Dave.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Well,
I think you meant to say Phil Wickham.
what I say?
Everybody in the world knows about
yes.
Phil Wickham.
Yes, for sure. But because it is the first time, and as broadcasters, you don't ever want to sit down and ask the question that everybody asks that you get over and over and over. But this is going to be one of those. I'm sorry,
No,
but I've got you in front of
it.
me.
I welcome it.
There are just those songs that are anthems. Bill, you used the word anthem a couple of minutes ago. And you've got those songs that are going to stand the test of time. Our God, Chris Tomlin. How Great Is Our God? Those kind of songs. Battle belongs. Like battle belongs. And when I fight, I will, fight on my knees. I can't tell you how many times I've sang that lyric through tears. I mean, I can't tell you the feedback, the text, the DMs, the emails, and I know you've gotten it. I mean, we get it too. People who are walking through cancer, they're walking through divorce, they're walking through the loss of a child or a spouse or, whatever that might be. Battle Belongs is an anthem that it's not going anywhere. It's going to be here forever. So I just want to know, where were you when God gave you that song? Because I can't imagine standing on stage, and I can imagine the crowd just singing it back to you even louder than what you can sing it to them. I mean, that is a song that is handles for us.
It's one of my favorites I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And I love how this song came around, because I really feel like it'd be silly for me to take any credit. I mean, yes, I wrote lyrics and melodies, but it just kind of came out of it came out of nowhere, and I didn't know why it came. It's actually kind of silly, and I don't want this to devalue the song for people, because let me get to the end, because it values people. So I've written songs with my friend Brian Johnson. We wrote a song called Living Hope together, a song called God of Revival together, and other ones. And we were on a FaceTime call talking about another song, and then he laughed. He said, "You know what I just saw?" He's like, a guy just showed me one of his tattoos. Okay, don't get mad at me.
No. I love it. This is what we're asking.
This isn't promoting tattoos or anything. Whatever. Yeah. And it was pray hands, and it says, "I fight on my knees." And he's like, "What if you wrote a song about that?" No joke. And I was like, I'm like, come on. And then I was like, that's actually amazing. And I went and sat down the piano, and I put the phone up there, and I said, when? And I sang the whole chorus back to back from nowhere. And I looked at him, and when I looked down, he was like this on the FaceTime call, like, woo! like, and he had little glassy eyes. He's like, bro, what just happened? I was like, I don't know. He's like, record it. I was like, okay. So recorded it, and a few minutes later, we had the song written. And we kind of recorded it and set it aside. Neither of us were doing records at the time. And we a little bit forgot about it. And then later that year, we were out on a tour together. And one night, he's just like, let's do that Fight on My Knees song. I was like, we were headed to the venue. Show was starting in an hour. I was like, did we even finish it? He said, yeah, I think so. It was just so him, And I was like, what about the band doesn't know it? He's like, let's show them in the back. They'll figure it out. It was just so him again.
He's my kind of guy.
And so I was fighting. I was like, no, it's not done. And we want that. He's like, no. I think we're supposed to do it. And it was crazy. His Lake was on that tour too. It was his first tour he'd ever been out on. And we showed him and the band, and all of them were like, what is this song? And so we showed him, and we played it. And I'm just like, I'm trying to lead it, closing my eyes, trying to remember every word. And we're on it. We're singing. And I get to the second chorus. I was like, okay, I know the chorus. I open my eyes. When I fight. And it's the first time the song has ever been played. And it looked like every hand was up in the room. And I had this moment where I had this certainty, like said, God was like, I'm going to use this song. It's going to be amazing. And God, it's going to be amazing to see people in their, it's going to be used in a lot of people's lives. And this was pre-2020. This was the end of 2019. And then 2020 happened. And then it became, over as we were recording the album, my kids would hear it, as I was working on it, and it became our little family song, the House of the Lord too. But really, Battle Belongs before we go to bed and going through stuff. Gosh, I'm getting emotional right now. And And it's,
I know.
I'm just remembering all the moments, with Mallory and the kids. And then we put the song out, and it was incredible to see the response to it in that really tough time for a lot of people. And then the DMs that followed, the emails that followed, the stories that followed, everything of like, we're singing this in our house. This is our church. We're singing this over the gravesite. We're singing this in the hospital room. And it just was amazing, which then the Lord did this another work in my heart over this next year as I started to get back in the rooms with people in 2021. I got to see firsthand. We would sing, and everybody's singing, it's awesome, this is Amazing Grace, and stuff like that. And then we get to House of the Lord, it was just this moment, and God was doing something special, that song, in that moment. And then I felt this like bit of this little tingle in my heart of like the voice of the Holy Spirit, like, I don't know exactly how to say what he's saying other than like why don't you pray like this? If you believe like he's the King of the universe, if you believe that he's on your side, if you believe he's got all the good thoughts towards you, if you believe his plan's better, like, why don't you come to me like that? Like, I just felt like I was seeing all this faith and hearing all these stories, and I was just being challenged by people's faith in response to this song. We prayed for this, and we saw this happen. We prayed for this. And I just found myself, like, in a place of not there, if I was really honest with myself. And so I was like, Lord, I want to be a man of prayer. And I pray, I believe it and all that, but it's not like my go-to. It's kind of my last resort, if I'm honest. In a lot of situations, it's not my like, let's go to God. Yeah. And so started going through this. I'm just like, I'm going to read all the prayers. I'm going to read everything I can through the scriptures, and I'm going to start jotting down. Like, I want these prayers of Moses and prayers of Joshua, prayers of Daniel, and then going forward, Mary and all this stuff, and what Jesus says about prayer, what Paul says about prayer on the forefront of my mind. I want to change my mind and transform my mind to being a man of prayer and deepen my faith. And I don't know why I'm afraid to pray big prayers, why I hesitate to ask for healing, all this stuff, but I do, and I don't want to. And cause maybe I'm scared. And through that whole situation, I realized what I was really doing was getting to know God better. And the more I understand his heart, especially the person of Jesus, the more I realize it's not about it's not about my faith growing. It's about me understanding more his heart, and like, I could come to him with anything, and I could trust him with everything. And so then I had this book of journals about all this stuff, and I was reached out to by a publisher, like, hey, do you got a book in you? I'm like, nope, I write songs that are half a page long. And they're like, well, why don't you talk to us about what God's doing? I told them that. They're like, well, let's write that book. Let's call it On Our Knees and make it devotional, just like you. And I was like, okay. And so that song, it's a long story, but that song has meant a lot to me, because there's seasons of stuff that God has done through that song, and it's so crazy that it came, which is just such a testament to God. I love it. Like, it's like, it wasn't, I think maybe if I told you a story about how I overcame this and this happened, it was so crazy, and then out of it I sang this song. I think it'd be easy for people to be like, wow, Phil has so much inside of him. But it just came from a tattoo.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Wow, that song means a lot to a lot of us.
Me too.
So, thank you. Battle Belongs, Phil Wickham on the Joy FM.